Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sean Scullion of the Walking Skull podcast. I am, of course, the Skull part. If you meet me in person, I'm not the coolest guy in the room to have nickname Skull. Let me tell you, because I'm the most least threatening person you'll ever be around, and I'm here with my co-pilot and the walking part of the Walking Skull podcast, Martin Walker, who is more or less the brains of the operation, I guess.
Were you about to say probably the walking part of this? Walking.
I mean, we're doing this sitting down. I just presume we're like,
I'll
we,
give you
we
that
could
one.
we could do a gimmick next time where it's just like you're walking and I'm just sort of like in some of the rooms sitting down, like, yeah, I am the skull part of the walking. You're doing the legwork. I'm doing the thinking. Oh, by the way, I forgot. Have you paid your phone bill yet? Just don't forget to pay your phone bill.
Fair enough. It's a weird way to start.
Listen, I'm the skull part of it. I'm telling you all the things you need to do. I'm giving you all the anxieties. That's how the skull works. That's the more how the brain
You're
works.
just making my edit more.
Yeah, a quick disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why sometimes you'll have like certain episodes that sound kind of like swish, kind of jumbled up in the opening. I'm the worst because I'm like a I'm like a speeding truck when it comes to these sort of openings. I just don't stop.
No,
Actually, that's
as the person who edits it, don't believe Sean.
okay.
There is certain times where he maybe waffles a bit, but other than that, I usually pick one's really good, and then I go with that one.
I like to
Sean,
give
this is where
options.
you
That's
normally tell us what happens on the show.
Wait, what? What? Oh no! Oh man, I lost my host privileges. Okay, so here in the Walking Skull podcast, we don't only just talk to each other as good friends and confidants. We also talk about the media that we saw recently because it's 2020. The world has gone to fuck, and we're here to watching all the media stuff. Did I? Yeah, sorry, I got carried away there, didn't I?
No, it's fine. Keep going.
Oh, cool. So yeah, the world as we know it is
It's on fire.
currently not in the yeah, it's on fire. It's really not in good shape. Although think of it as Rocky in the end of like Rocky 2, where he's on the rebound of beating Apollo Creed. I haven't seen the second one. I'm only just guessing. So
Why
yeah,
say it then?
I don't know because apparently that's what happens in the end. He beats Apollo Creed. He's all like, "Yes, I did it." Actually, no, it's Apollo Creed. Apollo Creed. That's Michael B. Jordan's character, isn't it? Am I fucking this up again?
No, I'll be honest. I don't know. Apollo Creed, I
No,
believe, is his dad.
it's Adonis Creed. No, I'm thinking of Apollo Creed. Adonis Creed is the son. Yeah, I got really concerned, and there are my dogs. Oh no, this has gone
They're
off the
Rocky
rails.
fans is the problem.
Yeah, they're like, "How dare you? Rocky is the best one." Okay, so here we go. We're going to officially start the Walking Skull podcast. What a train wreck of an introduction! I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I probably will never be able to do hosting for other things. If I was doing the BAFTAs, I'd just be doing the entire time pointing at people, going, "Hey, hey there, how you doing? Welcome to the show." Okay, so let's start things off. Martin, what piece of media, television, film, or even audio have you been watching or listening to this week or the past 2 weeks?
Yeah, we do it on a 2 weekly rotation. Rocation, I was about to say there, because I'm looking at the word Frank and it's messing with my head. So that's
Yeah,
a kind of spoiler. Over the last 2 weeks, I've watched a lot, but the main one I want to talk about is the new one from Amazon, which is Uncle Frank. Director was Alan Ball. He also wrote it, but I'd rather call him a director. And it was just a really good film that I liked. I like Paul Bettany in it. I always mess up her name. Sophia Lillis, I believe is what you call her.
Is there an E at the beginning? Because I imagine it'd be an Ellis. Is it Lillis?
It's like Ellis, but there's an L instead of a Lil.
All right, so probably Lillis, I guess. If she ever does listen to this, we do apologize for messing up your name.
We apologize that this world famous star will be listening to the issue. I got Paul Bettany right. Bettany's an issue. But yeah, it is the story of Beth, who is played obviously by Paul Bettany, and he plays an 18-year-old girl quite well.
I kind of got confused over where I heard Beth. I'm like, what? What the fuck is happening here? Is Alan Ball doing a terrible Yikes casting? What's happening?
No, that obviously it is Beth is played by Sophie Lillis, and she is well not in love, but she feels that her Uncle Frank, played by Paul Bettany, is the only person that sees her while she is growing up in a place called Creekville, South Carolina.
Mm.
And he says one line to her that always makes her like know what she wants to do with her life and all that stuff. And it's like, do what you want to do, don't do what other people want to do. And that's kind of made her, as an 18-year-old girl, decide that she wants to go to New York where he lives. She wants to do art major and all that kind of stuff. In fact, I don't think you know what major she does. I might be talking up my ass there.
Yeah, you're just presuming. It could be up to
I'm assuming it
interpretation what
is an
major
art
she's going for.
major. For all I know, she could be business, she could be admin, she could do whatever she wants to do. But it's
Yeah.
1973. She knows very little about her Uncle Frank, other than the fact that her dad hates her her dad hates him for no reason whatsoever in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he is kind of mysterious about his life of living in Manhattan. So when she obviously moves into New York, she goes to the university. I presume it's NYU, but there could be several other ones. And when it comes to her, she invites herself to a party that her Uncle Frank has. I'll say that. And there is our boyfriend, I'll say, who's also one that's like, yeah, let's go. It's because they overhear him, because he is a professor at this university that she works at, having a party. And they invite themselves. And this is where she finds out that he is a homosexual man and has been living with a gentleman called Wally, who's amazing. He makes you laugh throughout the whole thing, who is played by Peter McAdis, or MacDessy. Again, we apologize. None of us are good at anything, to be honest, when it comes to pronunciation. Sean's autistic. I'm possibly dyslexic. Reading is not our forte.
Yeah, I'm okay reading books. Just never ask me to read them out loud because I'm just gonna be like, "Are you sure?" There's words
Yes.
here that I don't really know. I'm gonna fuck these up real bad.
For two people that don't like reading aloud, we have chosen something that involves us reading aloud quite a bit.
I mean,
But
it's
yeah,
it's educational.
she finds out that he is a homosexual man, and it has the best line in the world when you find out that her boyfriend is actually just trying to get closer to Professor Uncle Frank. And this is a line that I was teasing you about beforehand, Sean.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
seductive way, the boyfriend of Beth tries to flirt with Frank by using the line, "You'll like the way I give oral sex. I give blowjobs like I give poetry really well." And I just started laughing for no reason because it was just out of the way. And it's just the weirdest way to try and pick up with stuff because this kid's like 18.
Oh man, oh man, I've been meaning to watch this. I've heard really good things about Uncle Frank. I think it was at a few festivals, virtually, of course. I think,
Yeah, I
or
believe
I
it
think it
made it
was.
to a couple of festivals. I think it even made it to a couple before the world went on fire.
Yeah, I remember it got advertised around Sundance, so I think it was like at Sundance, and people seemed to like it. Plus, Alan Ball, I'm a fan of. He wrote the screenplay for American Beauty, which is probably one of the best screenplays around. Despite certain troubling elements or element of the movie. And he's also created the television show True Blood, which I watched the first episode on when I was a teenager, and I was like, what's happening here? What? But yeah, I'm glad that he's made a movie with Amazon. He's a very talented chap. I've heard really good things. I'm a big fan of Paul Bettany, and the cast looks really good,
The
which is
cast was
really nice to
amazing.
see.
I love the cast. So to finish the plot without spoiling it for people, because it is brand new, basically
Mm,
the dad dies. This is said in the trailer. And
mm.
what happens is that him and Beth drive their way down to South Carolina for the funeral. And then things change. I'll say that much. But to go into the cast is amazing. You've got Margot Martindale, which I'm glad that I share at least a partial bit of a name with her, because no matter what she's in, she's great. Even when it's
Mm-hmm.
something as stupid as Instant Family with Mark
Oh my
Wahlberg.
god, just Margot Martindale is just it's just amazing. I don't know what it is. I think it could be the guest spot in BoJack Horseman, but she's just the best. You know, anything she pops up in, she just sort of elevates it. Like Justified season 2, is that when she first appeared in Justified?
Yes, and she's
Yeah,
technically, spoilers, the villain. Spoilers of
yeah.
a good maybe 5-year-old show. She's
Mm.
the villain,
She's
and she's great.
Yeah, she elevates it. She elevates everything she's in. Even something like in the new DuckTales show, where it's like even if it's like a dumb comedy bit, it's like, wow, it's Margot Martindale. So she's just awesome.
Yeah, well, she's praised, surprise, surprise, a Southern mother called, where her only name is Mama, which is usually, this is kind of just her natural state, I imagine, as a mum that was happy to be your mum. She doesn't really care as long as she's a mum. You've
That was
got
also the character.
Daddy Mac, who's played by Stephen Root really well.
I love Stephen Root.
Mm.
Like that's kind of be sold as well. Stephen Root, just anything he appears in, he's kind of the best part.
And then just sort of bit parts by people that you're not expecting. Like Judy Greer's in
Mm.
it. She's quite good because she's always good in most things that she's in. Steve
Very
Zahn's
underrated.
in it.
Also very underrated.
Yes. And just,
Like
it's a great movie. I recommend it.
I need to check it out because I'm kind of in this like weird state now where I have like a bunch of like streaming services I use, and Amazon's kind of like the last one that I tend to use is like the last one on the totem pole. Like, don't get me wrong, oh my god, shut up! When it comes to like that's just the dog's going crazy. Everyone, sorry about that. I can't help that.
Which will be
They're
so
fucking
weird
wild.
if they can't hear the dog. If people can't hear the dogs, then all it is just you yelling "shut up" at someone.
Someone's gonna be like, "Oh no, the autism has gone too far. It's rotted his brain. I told you the vaccines were a bad idea." Anyway, but yeah, a lot of decent character actors are in this. That's really good. I like character actors, and as I was saying about the Amazon thing, it's kind of low on the totem pole in terms of the other things that I use. The streaming services. When it comes to the boys, sure, I'll binge watch that in a millisecond, but come on, I've got BFI and Apple and Netflix and all that. And I'm just like, bro, come on, this is too much. It's hurting my brain of how much like stuff is out there. But Uncle Frank is one I definitely need to make room for.
Yeah, and we're on the topic of Amazon Prime. It's relatively underrated with some of their shows because most people just get Prime for the free delivery and don't realize that there's
Mm-hmm.
good movies. They probably
Yeah,
realize that there's streaming on it, but they think that it's just DVDs that you could buy, and it's
yeah.
for, I think it's like £8 a month. Amazon pay us for this, Mr. Bezos. It's like £8 a month. Watch it,
Mr. Bezos, me.
buy it for 1 month, and then watch this and watch The Boys, which we talked
Mm,
about in an earlier episodes. There's a handful
uh,
of other things that are quite good, but I've used it
not to go.
more in the last couple months than I have anything else, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. Just because the content of Amazon is incredible, but at the same time, it's a 50-50. Pardon me. It's a 50-50 kind of thing where you'll get all this incredible content, not only original content, but also just movies and TV shows elsewhere. But then, like, what's really annoying about Amazon to me is that you'll go looking for films down onto a list, and you see like you have one that you've never seen before, and you're like, "Oh man, that's insane! I mean to watch that one." And it's like going to be expired in a couple of days. You're like, "What the fuck? Why?" I've only just found out about this. Why are you taking it away all of a sudden, Jeff Bezos?
And
Man of the people.
that's the one thing I don't like, is the fact that it's not, obviously it's a streamer, but you have to buy certain things. Because there was
Mm-hmm.
there was 1 week where Jojo Rabbit, I saw it in the theaters, but I wanted to watch it again, where
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit was on Prime for free, and then the next week, I can't remember why I watched it straight away. I think I was watching something else, but the next week I went back to go see it, and then it was gone, and I had to pay like a
Oh.
fiver to watch it.
Yeah, I'm thinking of just using Apple just because the prices on that one are a lot more better, and plus, I'm using someone else's like Amazon account. I won't say who, just to protect identities and whatnot. But yeah, I
Whose
don't know.
identity are you protecting?
I don't know.
At
Um,
most, judging by the look of this, we've got one subscriber on our YouTube channel. I doubt they're going to grass them up to Amazon.
that's fair. So yeah, I'm using my sister. I'm using like my sister's Amazon account.
Go,
So
Amazon, go. You've heard it. Go, go, go. Get them.
oh no, 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 Amazon! Don't take away my privileges. So
This is where if I was a better editor, I'd make the sound of a glass smashing in the background. But I'm
just
not.
have like
So
the just have the audio of like the FBI open up meme, and you're just like, oh no, it's the FBI! They're coming to get my Amazon. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so and with Apple, like the prices are kind of better, so yeah, and it kind of sucks. They're kind of just like, hey, here's a thing on Prime, cool. Now we're taking that away, and you have to pay this amount for it, and you're like, why? Why? You're doing us dirty, Amazon. Don't do that. That's not cool.
but anyway, now that I've described mines and we've kind of sold Prime for free, what have you been watching over the last 2 weeks then, Sean Boy?
Oh, well, I've got a bunch of options here, but I'm going to go with like a latest release thing because I want to save the other thing maybe for near the end, just because there's kind of a lot to talk about with that one, I guess. But the first one I want to talk about, latest release from director David Fincher, one of my favorites, is the new film Mank, which is on Netflix. Came out on Netflix this past Friday, and the description of the plot goes as this: 1930s Hollywood is re-evaluated through the eyes of scathing social critique and alcoholic screenwriter Herman Jane Mankiewicz, or Mank, as he races to finish the screenplay for Citizen Kane. Mankiewicz being one of the credited screenwriters of Citizen Kane, next to Orson Welles, who's also the star director and producer of the film, and he gets hired by Orson Welles to write the screenplay for Citizen Kane, a movie which I watched like 5-10 minutes of, got bored, put it off, and I'm like, I will probably watch this again in the future. And then we're here with Mank, a movie where I'm like, shit, I've could have done a lot of homework of this one, but I didn't. But yeah, Mank is a movie that I feel is very hard to recommend because it's a
Why?
movie that's like, oh, I'm gonna get into why. That's why I'm glad you asked, because it's a movie that's like first off thoroughly set in the 1930s, and it sort of like steeps itself into the politics of the 1930s. So unless you're like really well versed in film history and the politics of 1930s America, you're probably going to have a good time with it. I didn't really know much about the political aspect of the 1930s because it's not really the decade that I find most fascinating. I do love film history though, because I'm a film lover, not to brag. Um, and for some reason, I just kind of found the majority of the film history stuff kind of not boring. There's like elements of it you're like, oh, that's pretty interesting, that's pretty cool, and then you'll have elements of it where you're kind of just like, what? I'm kind of lost here. Can you stop for a minute? Can you stop, please stop? My brain is going. Can you just stop for a minute? And everything else around it, there's good elements of Mank, of course. Like I don't want to slate it and call it outright bad because that's not really how. It's a lot more complicated than just it's okay for me. Gary Oldman's very good. Like he plays the
Oh,
main screenwriter.
Gary Oldman plays the main screenwriter and everyone else in the film, doesn't he? That's how good Gary Oldman has got. He plays
Yeah,
Amanda
so
Seyfried, he
shockingly,
plays
it's
Lily Collins, he plays all of them.
it's shocking because I was watching him like in the movie and I'm like, wait a minute, what's Gary Oldman? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? We don't need to prove you're a good actor. We already know this. But he's very good he's very good
It's
in the
like that
movie.
Alec Guinness movie where he plays like 12 folk.
Mm. But yeah, he's very good in the film. He's very although his character is one of those like characters that you're going to enjoy watching or kind of like loathe watching. I was kind of mixed because there was an element of it where you're like, yes, Oldman, he's very good. An element of like, I kind of wish I cared about the character more because there's not really much here with the character that I'm kind of like engaged by. I love his like scathing social critique of things. I think that's very interesting. But everything else, you're kind of just like, I don't really have anything to latch onto. Like it'd be one of those like cafe conversations where me and him, this imaginary character or based on a real life character, are sitting there talking about like stuff, and I kind of just quickly go, yeah, man, cool. But I will say though, all the other actors in it are really good. It's got Lily Collins, she's really good. Amanda Seyfried in the role that I feel could get her a big Oscar nomination for supporting actress or even a win. She's that good in it. She just kind of comes in, hijacks the film, and you're kind of just like, hey, she's really good. Charles Dance is also in it. He plays William Randolph Hearst, who's the real life inspiration for the Citizen Kane character in Citizen Kane. And Charles Dance, when he shows up, is very good. And David Fincher's directing prowess is really good. This is his first film that he'd done since Gone Girl, which was a 2014 film. So it's nice to see Fincher back after 6 years of inactivity. Well, that and Mindhunter in between. But it's just nice to have him back. And there's a lot of technical aspects of it I find impressive. For instance, the film is shot on 8K with digital cameras, but they edited it in a way where they not only shot it in black and white in the 8K, but they edited all these little details and features of a 1930s film, like the cigarette burns and little hairs and scratches on the film, to make it look like it was shot in 1930s Hollywood. Which, if you're a sucker for details like that, it's very interesting to sort of watch the filmmaking of Mank in action and to see all the little details that Fincher got down. And it's also it's also a very big passion project for him because his father wrote the screenplay for the film. I think he was going to do it after the game, but nobody wanted to invest in a movie that was like this, I guess. So you can definitely feel the passion on radiating off the screen, but it kind of feels I don't know. It's the same issue that I've had with other films I've seen this year, probably, where I'm kind of sitting back thinking, right, this is good. I'm liking all the aspects toward it. There's really good things to enjoy. It's just I don't think I'm ever going to watch it again. I'm a bit mixed on it. It's like I'm thinking of ending things again, just minus the surrealist elements where it's hey, I'm being deep, and you're like, not really. But instead with Mank, it's with Mank, you're kind of a sort of yeah, cool man. What, I don't really have anything to be invested in. I don't know. I'm just not really that interested in 1930s culture, and Citizen Kane wasn't one that I'm yes, gotta watch Citizen Kane. And there's a lot of references to Citizen Kane, so it's going to be frustrating if you've never seen Citizen Kane.
So it's a one and done all over then.
Kind of. I mean, I might be watching. I don't know, but similar to I'm thinking of ending things where everyone's sung its praises to death, and I'm not saying that just to be all cool and edgy. I legitimately just didn't really think I'm thinking of ending things was that spectacular. And Mank is kind of falling into the same camp this year, where it's not that I'm ragging on anyone who likes it. If you like it, that's fantastic. That's awesome. Enjoy it. That's life is short. Enjoy those movies while you can. Mank is just one that I'm not really it's just frustrating because I really wanted to love it. It's the sort of film I feel was made for me. I wanted to love it. I really wanted to, but there were things that kind of held it back for me, and I'm you did good, guys. You did a really good job. I'm just probably not going to watch it again. I don't know. It's disappointing. I'm a big fan of Fincher, so it kind of kills me to say that it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, the one thing I've heard about it from someone else, which is a different podcast I listen to, because I'm not just a one podcast man, is Kevin Smith on his podcast Fat Man Beyond says that it's quite good, but it makes me want to watch Citizen Kane. Is the main problem that I have with it.
Yeah, I can see where he's coming from. It was an element that I had, not really to a desperation point of wanting to watch Citizen Kane, but I'm right. The fact I kind of feel I have to do homework for this one is a bit frustrating. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of movies I enjoy that have that element of you got to do homework to watch this sort of movie. But at least those films at least can stand on their own merits. Say Empire Strikes Back, you got to watch the first one to sort of get context of who these characters are. But at least say you could watch that one in a context and you kind of get who the characters are, you kind of get what's going on, and you're kind of just yeah, I'm on board of this right now. With Mank, it's not even a franchise film or anything else. Not that I'm saying it's a bad thing. It's great that it's its own thing. It's just I feel it's kind of discouraging when you're sort of being told, hey, you're gonna watch Citizen Kane in order to get all the references and all the context of it, and it's but it's been talked to death. I already kind of know some of the contexts of it, and I don't know. I don't want to. I've got other things to watch. I don't want to watch Orson Welles' Citizen Kane. I've
What you
got
should
other
do
things.
is you should watch it backwards. Watch both of them backwards. Watch Citizen Kane, then Mank. This is a Walking Skull idea. Watch
Mhm.
it backwards, and then it's a film. It's about a film being unmade and then unwritten.
Oh man, that's an interesting challenge.
It's like if
Um,
you watch all of the Star Wars movies. It's about a family that isn't talking to each other, and then gets really, really happy, talks to each other, and then a kid left on a desert planet.
I might do that. That sounds kind of interesting. Watch all the context of Mank, of the guy writing the screenplay, and then him having a big fucking argument with Orson Welles about credits, and then watch Citizen Kane and be like, "Wow, this is indeed the greatest film of all time," which is what it's called. And it's like, I don't
I mean,
know.
it's no Scoob. Scoob. It's no Scoob or Sonic the Hedgehog. It's none of that. It's no Oscar winners. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I mean, literally, dude, literally, there's no other competition this year. They could win. They could win something or nominated for something. It's
How
like no
annoyed do you
contest.
think a Magic? Because Sonic the Hedgehog is obviously a man. It's what's his name again? James Marsden.
James Marsden, yeah.
There's James Marsden with a CGI sidekick because that's apparently the only films he can do other than X-Men. Winning,
Oh,
winning the Oscars. Like Ben Schwartz gets best. Would he be main
so
actor?
he gets like best supporting actor. It's like in a
Yeah,
category
imagine
of
if
other great supporting
that was the
performances.
one argument that happened in the Oscars was is Ben Schwartz technically a supporting actor or a main actor?
He gets nominated in the same category as like I don't fucking know Jesse Plemons or fucking Charles Dance, and it becomes this controversial thing.
Like
Or what if like
especially after all the rubbish of like Black Panther and Avengers over the last couple of years not getting it because they were just popular
oh
films. Imagine if Sonic came in and just destroyed all that. Like it did a clean sweep. Like it was best adapted screenplay, it had best music, it had best special effects. The only thing it really couldn't wear is best original screenplay and short because it's an hour and a half or something.
it get it gets nominated for best picture. It's in the same field as like of the other films you mentioned, like Manga's in there. Probably gonna put Invisible Man in there because again, no competition. Maybe maybe put like for some fucking reason Hillbilly LG in there, and that ends up winning best picture because the Academy are at a point there where they're just like, fuck, we don't know what to do. Quick, nominate all the
This is
things.
this is the Walking Skull prediction where we're saying Sonic's doing a clean sweep. We know that it's been extended a little bit, so there's
Mhm.
possibly more room. So things could come in and out, but Sonic
Yeah.
is going to do a clean sweep. They're going to have amazing people. They're going to have for the performance. They're going to have Ben Schwartz come out and sing. It's going to be
Mhm.
only Sonic
It's
related.
gonna.
Instead of giving out Oscars, they're going to give out gold rings.
They just have a complete metal breakdown. Like Jimmy Kimmel's hosting, he's just sitting on the floor, like, guys, we don't know what to do. We just sort of listen. When there's nothing else out right now, it's just Sonic, okay? Because if you do anything else, you're gonna complain that like there's nothing popular here. Listen, we even got Chadwick Boseman nominated. Don't hound us again, please. We did it, guys. We're popular again. Please love us. Please give us the ratings.
This is a, this is also a challenge for anyone that listens. The one subscriber we have, if you're good at editing, I want you to edit
Like,
every film that gets nominated for the Oscars with a cameo from Sonic in it.
have like no, I came out technically last year, but fuck it, whatever. Have Portrait of a Lady on Fire and Sonic is just somewhere in the background.
No, have original Sonic just to annoy people. You know the ones before.
like the 2D like Sonic just
No,
doing this. And
there
every,
was the CGI Sonic that everyone hated beforehand.
yeah,
And he like
yeah.
flossed and stuff. If you can get that scene in every film, we'll I don't know, retweet it to my 61 followers.
Have a scene in Uncut Gems where you have Adam Sandler talking to some folk, and just the weird, awful Sonic is in the background flossing. Oh my god!
Have it where when he's cutting the opal out with the fish, it's actually just Sonic flossing.
And he just looks up at the guy and he's like, "Holy shit, I'm gonna come," and his eyes become like rings. I'll tell you what, though, I'm looking forward to Soul. I cannot wait for the scene where like Jamie Foxx finds himself in Sonic World. He doesn't find himself in the world of Soul. He finds himself in the Tree Hill Zone. It's just him trying to get out of the Tree Hill
That's what
Zone.
heaven is. You know how the film's them going to. It's eventually that they get their soul dealt with, and then when it's chosen whether they go up or down, if you go up, you go to specifically the Sonic the movie San Francisco world.
What happens if you go down? Like, what happens if you go down?
I don't know. I didn't really think the joke through that much. It's, yeah, let's say Mank, because I'm looking at it right now.
No, keeping in the theme of Sonic, it's got to be the underwater levels because apparently they're not great. So downstairs is the underwater level of Sonic.
But anyway, other than that, like offset of a topic, because we just got stuck on Sonic there for a little bit.
Oh crap! The Wi-Fi. Okay, so anyway, back to the original point. Let's get serious. Back to the original point.
Let's talk about the next subject, and this is something we've both been watching since the beginning, and it's only got 2 episodes left. This is The Mandalorian.
Is there 2 left?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think we only get 10. I think we're on 8 and we get 10.
I think so. I'm trying to remember the first episode count, but I remember just sort of like binge watching that in entirety. So the be just sort of like melded into one thing. So you know,
it's because it's the numbering's thrown off, because last one was chapter 14, but like episode 6. So it's trying to remember which way's which. But what do you think of The Mandalorian? I think it's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau just being given the Star Wars sandbox and just being asked, just do whatever you want with it. As long as you don't cost that much money and it doesn't get COVID related, we're just fine. Just give it a shot.
I think didn't they film a chunk of it before COVID happened? Actually, no. I think
they can still film it. The whole of season 2, because the way that they film it is the volume, which is their basically high-tech garage. The way they film it is all of it's indoors, so they filmed it already. It's not like they have to go to. Is it not Tunisia they normally choose when it comes to desert shots?
I think so. I remember when they were filming Force Awakens, they went to like some sort of like desert in, I think, not Saudi Arabia, but in some other region of that area, I think.
Yeah, they don't
or
have to
Dubai.
go anywhere.
It was Dubai. I think
they don't
it
have
was
to
Dubai.
go anywhere is the main problem. Well, not the main problem. Is the main thing that means that they literally can do, I think, 3 cameras and the volume, and they're fine.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy that they managed to get the Mandalorian out this year. And I will say, to answer your question, of what I think of it, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful show. Like, it might honestly be one of my favorites, in terms of series this year. But in terms of like a Star Wars thing, probably the best Star Wars media, whatever you want to call it, since The Last Jedi. Just because I fucking love The Last Jedi. I make no apologies, you dweebs.
Oh, that means their opinions are gone now. No one's going to listen
Oh,
anymore.
no. Oh, I lost my fucking licenses. You know what this means, Martin? We don't have our Sonic thing anymore. We can't do that anymore. We lost our opinion.
We've just, everyone hates us now.
Oh,
I think
no.
where Rise of Skywalker was fan service, but debatably fan service in the wrong way, where it gave you what what's the description of it? Where it gave you what you thought no offense to Star Wars fans if you listen to this, because I am also a Star Wars fan when it comes to that. I've watched the animated shows and all that stuff. But the problem with Rise of Skywalker is that they gave the fans what the fans thought they wanted. And when it comes to stuff like The Mandalorian and Dave Filoni, who's basically George Lucas, he's the new George Lucas, because George Lucas taught him everything. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau give you what they know you need. What they go, these people need this with Star Wars. We need to bring some of the Legends stuff in. We need to bring some of the new stuff in. We need to bring some of the animated stuff in and sprinkle it all in. Where JJ and his stuff was just like, we'll bring Harrison Ford back. And even though he died 2 movies ago, he's gonna be a ghost, but have longer hair than he did when he died. It's that
Yeah,
kind of
that
stuff.
was in terms of differences, Rise of Skywalker was more of a panic move because, well, you saw the criticisms of like the last movie, like so JJ and like everyone else kind of panicked and were like, quick, you remember the Death Star? You remember fucking what's his name, the Emperor? Mystery boxes, please like our movie, please, oh God, like our movie. We can't win the box office things about I don't know what that was. I think that was JJ.
I honestly thought it was an alright film. I thought it wasn't to the level of other one. Like, it ended okay, but the way I think of it was that it just sort of ended.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I just look at it and just can't help but feel disappointed because it's a follow up to like one of the best things to ever happen to Star Wars, and yet they went into a panic, which
I should say that's Sean's opinion. It's not Walking Skull as a podcast. I don't think that's the best thing to happen to Star Wars. I'd argue maybe theatrically, in your opinion, but I think The Mandalorian's done more for Star Wars recently.
Yeah,
Out of Disney Star Wars specifically, I think Mandalorian has done more to like change things up compared to
of course.
that.
Like, speaking as someone who kind of like maybe used to be kind of a fan just because, well, you know, I think, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like Mandalorian is lesser than. I think it's kind of in the same league as, you know, Last Jedi in terms of like what it manages to do, and it's somehow, what makes it beautiful as well is how it stands out on its own 2 legs. Like, I remember the first time I watched the first season, like I think last year, I remember just being like flabbergasted by it's just how it's the most Western Star Wars will ever be. Like, it just sort of gets all the Western elements down, and you can sort of like see all of the influences of the Westerns, and also Akira Kurosawa's like films, like Yojimbo and Seven Samurai and Rashomon just coming out to the fold. Like one of the recent episodes where you meet Osaka.
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
I had to think there for a second because you said it that wrong. That I was like, no,
yeah,
that's
your
wrong.
brain got it. Yeah, your brain got like a 2-punch thing. You're like, ow, that the cringe. Oof. But yeah, when she in that episode when she appears, when you see her for the first time, and like in that town, the fog and everything, on a technical level, it's incredible how much like a samurai film The Mandalorian becomes in certain episodes. And I'm a big fan of the technical aspects of it, and I think Jon Favreau has created like one of the best Star Wars things to ever happen.
Well,
So you know,
partially Dave Filoni as well. Like, Jon Favreau was really good directing, and he's managed to produced it well. And I love watching the documentary when it's them two talking about stuff because they act like a married couple, where they're finishing each other's sentences. And like, I think at one point, John and Dave were talking, and John says something it's like a round table, and John's describing something, and he goes to Dave, you tell it. You're much better at telling it than I am. So I just love the fact that they seem to be genuine mates that are just making something that they want to make. And I think the good thing of it is that with the volume, that it doesn't really cost Disney that much. So it's one of those things where you don't really cost us that much, so you can kind of do what you want because we know it's doing well. And as long as it doesn't really cost us, say, 100 million, and it costs us more closer to like 10 million, then we don't have to worry about it that much. You can kind of get away with a lot because it's not going to theaters, so you won't be confusing people. You can bring in all the Ahsokas, you can bring in the Boba Fett's back and all that kind of stuff.
You can bring in you can bring in all the obscure characters that you want. You can create your own character. Hell, have like I don't know, Timothy Oliphant in there. Just have fun. Do whatever. Like, I think I will say one of my favorite elements of Mandalorian is how every episode is its own individual story and with its own individual directors. And I find that just wonderful. And it really helps that like we're watching this on a week by week basis because when every episode happens, you can definitely tell it's its own unique adventure and its own unique sort of narrative involving like the Mandalorian character and like Grogu or Baby Yoda. And it's very incredible how like you'll have an episode say directed by Peyton Reed, which was the Ice Cave Spider episode, which no thank you, never do that again, please. No, 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 no. That will haunt my nightmares forever. And then you'll have an episode like recently with Robert Rodriguez, and it's like really well done, kind of like well shot and action packed, and it's just you get different styles in there. And each episode just feels so unique to that individual. Even the Dave Filoni directed and written episode of Ahsoka was honestly my favorite episode of the season, alongside the recent one that came out just because it's got so many different like incredible elements to it, and you can just feel the influences of those directors.
I think the idea of the different directors, as you're saying, is amazing because it's a different take on the show every time. They kind of keep the same. The best description I've heard of it is the guys from Kind of Funny, where I think it was Tim Geddes that's part of it, where it's a video game basically. There's a through story. And there's a main story that you can follow quite easily, and a lot of it will link up. But there's also these little side quests that's like, oh, I have to do this thing, but they won't let me do this thing unless I do that thing first. And then once I've done that thing, I can go on and then hit the next roadblock.
Oh, totally. Like, I get weird. Like, it could just be like the Western, like, nut in my brain, but I get some mad Red Dead Redemption elements sometimes where, like, you have a main plot, but then then you can venture off your own little adventure to sort of, like, either advance the plot or just have some fun and cut loose. Like, in the first season, you'll have an episode where, like, Mando goes to, like, a forest planet where him and like Cara Dune have to do a thing to help this like poor village of like women against this giant AT-AT walker coming to kill them, and it's like, yeah, that's like its own little solid adventure. But we also have to get to the big like thing that's happening.
Yeah, and what I liked about that episode is that it wasn't that it was, oh, it's the bad guys from the movies that were doing it. It's that some marauders have hijacked that and made it their own thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
like
when it comes to like episodes from this season, like I loved the tragedy, like chapter 14, because it was literally it did more for Boba Fett in 4 minutes than the last like 6 films did.
Spoiler warning for those who are listening. But yeah,
we've spoiled it like several times already. If you're waiting to watch this till the end, don't listen. And we
skip this part. We'll have a time code. But yeah, I freaked out when Boba Fett got revealed. And here's the thing though, I'm not like the biggest Boba Fett guy. Like just because like his appearances in the original trilogy, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, they weren't that significant. But for some reason he made such a big impact with people. And he does have a very cool look. And I think what really kind of got me excited was just the fact that like we got to see him in a modern Star Wars. We have directors now who are more advanced about special effects, more thinking about like certain things, however they're going to look cool, and a lot less sort of like restrictive in terms of the time period and whatnot, in terms of what effects it can use and how the character is going to be like presented. And you see him like in this like episode, and he's just incredible. Like, it was just so cool to see him, like, just in a modern episode where he gets to kick ass and be cool. And it's like, fuck, that's awesome.
What it is that in chapter 14, they made, because in Empire Strikes Back, you see him and you go, oh, he looks cool. I can imagine what he's done while looking cool. What they did in this episode is that they made him look as cool as someone who was a fan of Star Wars watching The Empire Strikes Back thought he was. Even though, obviously, Tamura Morrison, or however you pronounce his name.
Tamura Morrison, the actor who plays him?
Yeah, obviously, he's put on a bit of weight, he's in his 50s, but he still made it look badass.
Yeah, like, who cares about the podgy weight? The guy still looks like a badass. Come on. Leave our poor little chubs Boba Fett alone. He could probably kick your ass if you're complaining about, hey, he looks a bit chubby, but you're dealing with Boba Fett. He's probably going to dropkick you out of the sky.
It's just great. It's an amazing series. There's nothing. Yeah. There's really, obviously, if you're not a fan of Star Wars and you watch the first episode and you're like, that we don't
Mhm.
really hate you for it. But
Yeah.
if you're
Oh no.
any version of a Star Wars fan, like even if you've
Mhm.
just started to watch the movies and stuff, or if you're
Mhm.
deep into it and you've read all the books that were all the canon that used to be, and then you've read all the books that are like new, and you read everything about Star Wars, and you have like
Mhm.
75 lightsabers and all that stuff. It's good for you, it's good for newbies, it's good for the people who are kind of like me and you, where we're like, it's entertainment and we like it.
Yeah. I kind of feel like with youth, like, say like someone who's never seen the Star Wars films, like at all, not the prequels, not the sequels, not even the original trilogy. This I think would also be a really good starting point because it's not like trying to like live up to the standards of those movies. It's its own separate contained adventure. And even if you have characters like Asuka, or characters like Boba Fett, and you don't know who they are, this is a perfect way to get you introduced to them. And I think that's really good for like say someone who's never seen Star Wars and can just sit back and watch The Mandalorian and be swept up in its like own little universe and its own little story. And I think that's kind of like the best way to present Star Wars going forward because I think the biggest problem with the sequel trilogy as a whole is that it was trying to like live up to the standards of the original trilogy and even to the extent the prequel trilogy. Well, you have the Mandalorian. It's its own little contained adventure with its own contained episodes of little adventures involving this main guy going to its main plot ending and whatnot. So I think if you had like more, say, Disney Plus shows about Star Wars, or more, hell, even more movies that are their own contained adventures going forward, I think that's probably going to be great for Star Wars because you're using the same incredible universe, but you're also adding your own spin and your own characters and your own explorations of like the world and all that sort of stuff. So I think going forward, we need more shows like The Mandalorian and even more films like The Mandalorian.
Oh, is the Disney police coming?
Oh no, they're coming to steal the idea. They're like, oh, that's a good idea. He can make us money. Quick, steal his brain.
No, I'm sure other people have had that idea. You're not the first one.
Oh no, I know. I'm
But
not like trying to take credit for that.
what I like with, as you say, is that it's only its own little thing. Like, if Star Wars had never happened, you could still make Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Like it's its own. Like it's so like I would say separate, but at the same time, the world is still in very much the DNA of the
It's in the
Mandalorian.
Star Wars world, but if this was a jumping off point and then you made the Star Wars films after this, there wouldn't be
Yeah.
any difference. It would literally, it would work still because they cover
Aye.
what Jedi's are, they cover Mandalorians, they cover the universe in general. You know, there's a big bad that's called the Emperor, and you know that
Mhm.
he's got his empire, and you know you've got
Mhm.
the Republic that's dealing with people. But when it comes
Yeah.
to it, it kind of you could have just when we're recommended Star Wars stuff to watch, you could literally just watch this and not really have anything missing out in your life. It's that
Yeah.
easy.
That's what's incredible about it. You don't have to like fucking watch, I don't know, episode 2 of the Attack of the Clones to get who so and so is. You can watch this and you can watch The Mandalorian and just completely get where you are. And it's like no issue whatsoever. And I think that's absolutely wonderful, you know?
Yeah, it's a what would you call it? It's like a trampoline. It's like a jumping off point. It's something that you watch this, you get introduced to the side characters and not just a family having a fight, which was what the 9 movies are.
Yeah.
And then you just go off for it. And then that's what's great about The Mandalorian. Obviously, it has little key moments that, like, there's lines that they'll say that if you're a massive Star Wars fans and you remember certain things, you're like, oh my god, that was great.
Yeah.
But how do you think it? We'll say this and then we'll move on to another topic. How do you think
Yeah.
it's going to end? At a guess.
At this point, it's really hard to tell considering how the tragedy episode 14 ended. And I think this is getting to a point. It gets to a point where me sometimes when watching a TV show, if it gets really engaging, I can't guess what's going to happen next. Like if it's like a sort of like tepid, boring kind of TV show, I could sort of like try to be like, okay, hopefully this will happen. But with it being The Mandalorian and with it being so well written and so exciting, and each episode being so uniquely different to the whole show, I can't really tell you what's going to happen like next week or this coming Friday. I can only guess that like either Mando saves Grogu, or Grogu breaks out, or anything can happen. That's how good the show is. Literally anything could possibly happen.
You have no idea what's going to happen. I think that they're going to finish this season with. This is how they're going to tease it. I think that he's not going to save Grogu, and then the whole of the next season is him chasing them down. I think that's how they're going to do it. Because when he initially started the show, he's a bounty hunter. He's a Mandalorian who's a bounty hunter. So I think they're going to split them up at the end of this season. Because if you watch it, you know that they're becoming more father and son.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to finish the season where, spoilers for the last episode that's just come out, he's getting a team together to save him. I think they're going to fail at that, and then they're going to obviously go on from there.
Yeah, like maybe the next episode, they get the team together, they fail. Last episode, they try again. Either they win or they fail. And the next season could just be like Mando trying to get Grogu back, which, not a bad idea. Honestly, not a bad idea.
I think it's going to be next episode he gets the team together. Because he has to, again, spoilers, he has to break someone out of prison in the next episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I think the final episode, they're going to try and put this thing together, and then they're going to lose. Because now after Avengers Infinity War, you're allowed to finish something on a loss for the good guys. It's proven that it makes people come back. You're allowed to finish it with them going, oh,
yeah,
shit, that happened.
I mean, yeah, there are stories I've done that before. The only issue is there was no continuation. Like, there was no sequel to No Country for Old Men, and that ended on, like, the most bleakest of notes you could possibly imagine.
No, but that's what I'm meaning, for a franchise. Normally the franchises is that it's like they're winning, they're constantly winning. They lose a little bit in one of their films, but by the end of the film, they've won again. That was the first, to my knowledge, I'll say, so we don't have anyone complain, to my knowledge, the only time in a franchise where they flat out lost in a film.
Yeah, I think Empire Strikes Back done the same thing. That was kind of the originator of that. But at the time, everyone was just kind of like,
at the time, that was just 3 films, though.
Yeah, and now it's like, Empire Strikes Back is now held in high regard as one of the best sequels, and also probably I wouldn't say the originator of the whole downbeat ending, and then positive ending to the next sequel, whatever you're going to call it. You get what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it wasn't even like that downbeat an ending. Empire Strikes Back. He gets his hand lopped off. He finds out his dad's the bad guy, and then they go on to do other things. Other than that, like, someone goes to prison, but that's about it.
But Han Solo, he's like frozen carbonite.
He goes to prison. Fine, I take back everything I've just said.
I'm just thinking back to your statement of saying, yeah, I mean, it's not that depressing. Guy gets his hand cut off. Turns out his dad's a fucking dictator of leaking to like half the galaxy, and one of his best friends is now in carbonite. Yeah, it's not that.
You know what, Sean? I take back everything I've just said.
Yeah, give me your fucking opinion license, you cheeky scoundrel.
Hey, you don't get to take it from me, Mr. Alec Last Jedi. The internet's already taken yours away from you.
As we speak, yeah, they're planning it. They're getting their pitchforks ready right now. They're still like fucking dweebs who are still upset about a 2-3-year-old movie are getting their knives ready. Like, yeah, we're gonna take your licenses away, Mister I Like Last Jedi.
Speaking of Last Jedi and Knives Out, and then like knives things, we'll do this, and then we'll move on to my next film because this was a together one. Imagine a Star Wars film done by Mr. Johnson.
Am I who, sorry?
Mr. Johnson. The guy who directed Last Jedi.
Imagine.
I'm sorry, I'm not on a first name basis of him.
Right. I'm sorry that we were friends with Ryan Johnson.
No, I'm not. That's why I called him Mr. I didn't realize you were friends with him on a first name basis. I understand that he is a Mr. compared to me. He's not quite a Sir. I don't know him that well. Not on a first name basis with Ryan. I'm sorry that you know him that well.
I follow him. Of course, I know what his name is. I'm kidding.
No, I know what his name is. But, anyway, Imagine a Star Wars film, a Knives Out type film in the Star Wars universe. That would be awesome to see.
Oh, dude, that'd be great. I'd love to see that. Like we
I
get
don't
like
think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll take it back and yada yada yada. I don't think Star Wars has ever done like a murder mystery thing. That would be cool.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm only like in terms of like its lore, I mostly follow like the movies and the TV and the Mandalorian, and that's kind of about it. So I can't really tell you if they've done that before, but man, I would love to see Daniel Craig with the sort of like southern accent as
You
a
even
Yoda
have
creature.
you have him be a staple of the character, staple of the films. He's like an alien. He's like an offshoot of the initial guy. And then
Yeah.
what you'd have is that you have, in fact, I'm thinking of it right now, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll move on to the next thing.
We move
You
on to
have
the next thing.
someone's been killed using something that, and the way they've been killed makes it look like it's a lightsaber that's done it, but has a lightsaber
Yeah.
done it or has something else done it, and
Mhm.
then all that other stuff.
Mhm.
You could even
And
do
you
it
have
as
like,
you could do it as a piss take and have it the Emperor is killed and everyone's got to try and figure out who it was.
and you have like Daniel Craig voicing a Yoda stand-in as like Benoit Blanc, like, murderer committed. Suspects I see. It's just
That was
the entire.
Sean just wanted to get Yoda involved so he could do his impression.
No, I'm just telling you. Just imagine it. Picture it. Picture it in your head. Daniel Craig voicing a fucking Southern Yoda, trying to solve a mystery, and it's the best
Still
thing
in the
you'll ever see.
suit from Knives Out. He's in that full thing.
Yeah,
You
it's
have,
just a little.
because spoilers, Darth Vader kills the Emperor. You have Darth Vader appear in Chris Evans' cardigan. It's all that kind of stuff.
You have Michael Shannon in the film as a club foot. Yeah, you have Grand Moff Tarkin like walking around in that club foot.
It's all
It's
that
true.
other stuff. You're great. You're great.
Yeah,
We've given you two there, listeners. Hello,
yeah,
Hollywood and Disney. We've given you two ideas there. We've
yeah,
given you
yeah,
a spoof idea and we've given you an actual idea. Do it
yeah,
with it as you please, but give us a little shout out.
yeah. Actual idea: Sonic the Hedgehog at the Oscars. That's the actual idea.
Yeah, that's our idea. Other than the one subscriber, you can do whatever you want with it. No one else.
Okay, so
Let's move
what's
on
your
with a
next?
different topic.
All right, what's your next movie?
My next movie, because it's getting close to Christmas, and sticking on the Disney train, woo woo.
That was the most unexcited woo woo I've ever heard. I'm not
I
really
don't
worried
even
about
know
what the film
why I
could
did
be.
that. On
We're
the
having a good
Disney
time.
train,
Woo woos are
woo
allowed.
woo. I watched the Anna Kendrick Christmas film, Noel.
Ah, yeah, that came out like last year, but there was a weird issue of Disney Plus where it's like, hey, America's getting it, not you, you stinky other countries.
But if you've
Uh,
not seen Noel, it is, obviously, it's a Christmas film due to the fact that it's Noel. You've got Anna Kendrick, you've got Bill Hader, you've got Shirley MacLaine, you've got like you've got the new. I'm not really sure what he's been in. Kingsley Ben Audrey are the main couple,
I've heard that name before. I think I may have seen him in some stuff, but I can't really tell you off the bat.
but she is the daughter of Santa Claus. And the
Mhm.
way that it works, without spoiling it too much, is that obviously when it comes to her father retiring, someone else has got to take up the mantle of Santa Claus.
Mhm.
And it is Bill Hader, who is her brother. He becomes the new Santa Claus, and he's maybe not really wanting to do it. And he's maybe also not that good at it.
Yeah,
And so obviously hilarity ensues afterwards, because I can't really get too into it because it's relatively new. You've got
yeah.
other people like Julie Haggerty is Mrs. Claus, and I think this is the deepest I've ever heard her voice sound because she's normally quite high pitched when she talks. You've got Billy Eichner's in it, and he's the usual Billy Eichner. He's not. He's basically, he's a teched up Timon. If you wanted me to say
Billy
his
Eichner has an
acting
elf.
thing, he's not quite Billy on the street. He's not quite. He's not quite his character from Parks and Rec. He's more Timon than he is anything else. But it's
I
quite a
would I
fun
would
film. It's a nice film. I can't really say too much because it's relatively new, so people that may or may not be listening might kick up a fuss if I spoil it, but it's
I
good, it's
mean,
fun.
in terms of like when I heard about it, I remember going to Disney Plus to watch like The Simpsons or something, and it was like there advertised. And I remember being caught off guard because it was like advertised a lot like last year when Disney Plus was like coming out, and so I kind of find it incredible how we only got it like just now. That being said, they also released another like movie like a couple days ago called Fairy Godmothered, with Gillian Bell, which just did not get advertised like at all. I wasn't even aware it existed. It kind of seems like one of those like dumb projects that are going to release in cinemas. Then COVID happened. They're like, shit, dump it on Disney Plus. Who gives a shit? Get it in there. So I
I
find it
think
like
I saw a couple adverts for it. I think it was more. I think YouTube was their audience for some reason. I saw more adverts on like YouTube or Twitter than I did out and about.
yeah, I find it kind of hilarious just because like you'd think you'd want to advertise their original content, but I think as you and I were discussing, it ain't the Mandalorian. It's not going to have that kind of like advertising. But yeah, Noelle looks kind of interesting. I've heard when it first like came out again in America last year. We're only getting it now. It's weird. Don't ask. Um, I think I heard okay things, nothing world changing. You know,
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
not. It's
heard.
not going to change the game on Christmas films. It's a Christmas film. It's not
Hmm,
like your Santa Claus with Tim Allen type film. It's not going to change everything you've ever thought about the Christmas films. But
yeah,
it's all right.
it's no.
It's watchable.
Yeah.
Maybe watchable twice if you've got kids. If the kids really like it, it's watchable at least another 50 times. But it's
Yeah.
fun. There's no characters that are being dragged. Everyone's putting it. I make it sound like a Ted Lasso football team. Everyone's putting in their hardest. We're all working fine. It's all good. It's all that kind of stuff.
Hmm. I mean, I don't know. I'd watch it just because I have a weird thing with Christmas films. Because you'll have some that are like legitimately incredible, like Arthur Christmas or Home Alone, and you'll get stuff like that are kind of middle of the road, kind of okay. They're there for Christmas, there for the families, and then you just get like really bad bottom of the barrel bullshit like the nativity films, and it's like, I have a really weird relationship with like Christmas movies because every time I mention it to some people, mostly the family, they kind of just sort of go, "Whoa, that's too much, man! How dare you criticize this
I'm kind
Christmas
of the
movie?"
same, yeah. There's only a handful of things that, like, I'll say it quickly, but there's a short called Prep and Landing that's also on Disney Plus that I
Uh-huh.
watch. It's 20 minutes if you've got a spare 20 minutes. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
thing that I actually is a tradition of me watching, and it's Prep and Landing. It is
Mm-hmm.
literally, it says what it is on the tin. They are the elves that do prep and landing for Santa Claus, and it follows them
Mm-hmm.
on one of their jobs.
Yeah, like I can happily watch like any other Christmas film that's like you good. That does sound quite good. It's just a weird issue where like you mention it to some people, they kind of get really defensive about it. And it's like, whoa, it's okay. You can enjoy it. I'm not calling you terrible for not liking for liking this thing. I'm just not a big fan. Like apparently, if you call Love Actually bad, people kind of just get a bit shell shocked by that because whoa, come on, Love Actually is not that bad, and it's like I
I
don't
can't
know.
really comment on Love Actually thinking about it. I think I've only seen it once.
Me too. Like I saw it once, really didn't like it, and I thought, yeah, this is just not for me. I'm not a fan.
I saw it
Um,
once, and my kind of thing is, if you know me,
hmm,
I watch a film once. I'm not one of those people that goes back to it. If I catch like a bit of it while flicking through the TV, I'll watch it. But it's not like
hmm.
a I must watch this film 17 times. Like some people are.
I, yeah, I
But
must watch it 17
I'm a
times.
one and done guy. Hear that, ladies?
I'm,
I'm a one and done guy.
I'm a, like yeah, I agree. The reason I remember Love Actually a lot more is because I kind of have a negative like thing toward it, rather than sort of go, yeah, it's there, because I don't know, people love it, and it's like, will you stop reminding me of this movie's existence? This is why we have problems like this where I don't like it and people get upset. Anyway, so yeah, Noel does sound all right. I might give it a watch, but I remember watching a trailer for it like a while back and thinking it really wasn't much. Although I do like Bill Hader, so I don't know. I might get bored and just think, yeah, I want to watch the prequel to Barry before Bill Hader became, before he became a psychopath. It turned out in my head canon he was the son of Santa Claus. They went mad and just went off to do his own thing. And then we got
Barry's
Barry.
good in it. Let's change that. Let's change the topic a little bit. Barry's pretty good in it.
Oh my God, Barry. Oh my God. I
Barry's
love Barry.
Barry's quite
Oh,
good. If you've not seen
Barry.
Barry's quite good. I think it's on the box sets on Sky at the moment.
It's a Sky Atlantic show. In America, HBO made. But man, Barry is great. It's the best thing Bill Hader has ever been in. In fact, he's also the creator. So Bill Hader is a fucking genius as far as I'm concerned.
I wouldn't say the best thing he's ever been in. I mean, he's been in Noel after all.
The greatest Christmas film to come out in 2019 and awkwardly 2020 because Christmas. Hooray. Okay, so do you want to move on to the next one, or you
Yeah.
still want to
Should we? I have no idea when we started. When did we start?
It was like 2:15, I think, 2 or 10 past 2. So we've been on for quite a while.
No, like when did we? We started recording for at like past.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's make this the last thing, and then we'll say our goodbyes.
All right. So in terms of like other stuff that I watched, I won't like drown you out. I think the biggest thing that I watched, there were two shows that I watched. I managed to finish Lovecraft Country, which I highly recommend. Lovecraft Country is fucking great. And the other show that I really want to talk about because I'm kind of curious, like to hear what you think or if you've heard of it. The Watchmen TV show, the miniseries.
I've heard of it, but there was a while when I didn't have Sky or access to Sky, and I've not got around to watching it, to be honest. But I thought, from what I hear, it's really good. You don't need to worry about spoiling it with me. I know that I can't remember his name, but I know that the gentleman becomes Dr. Manhattan at one point.
Yeah, I can happily. I'm going to try to sell you on it because for my money, I'm legitimately annoyed that I didn't catch up with it like last year when I had the chance. I managed to like catch up all like managed to like catch all the episodes. In fact, I managed. It's one of those like shows or mini series where I watched it from beginning to end on a single day. It was that engaging. Like I'm a big fan of like I've never really read the comic book, although I've done a lot of like I've seen a lot of like videos where people talked about the comic book extensively, and I'm a big fan of the Zack Snyder film Watchmen, which is weird because I'm not really a fan of Snyder, but this is like the only good
I
film that
should
he's
say,
made.
and we normally don't make visual things here, but for some reason, when Sean said the Zack Snyder film, he pointed over his right shoulder like it was behind
Yeah,
him.
I've got the Blu-ray over there. Is why I'm pointing. I don't know why I'm pointing. It was like a weird. It's like a
I have
weird.
no idea why you're pointing in an audio medium either,
Yeah,
or
I am
even
sorry.
why you're pointing for my benefit, because all I can
It's a.
see right now is your wall.
I apologize. It was a weird muscle spasm or some sort of memory thing where I'm like, I have to point out I have the movie. So I don't know, but you could edit this one out. That was stupid. So yeah, I'm a fan of the Watchmen world, and this is a show where its inspirations mostly come from the comic book. So you'd think you'd be lost in it, but I think when you sort of get the gist of like what happens, because well, again, seen the film and I kind of did the research of the film, so I know the certain changes that they had to make. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the show. I thought it was fucking terrific. One of the best things to happen to television in a very long time. The performances are all excellent. It's made like you've got Regina King as the main character, where she's a part of a secretive police unit where in Tulsa, Oklahoma, names got leaked out, and they have to sort of like, and and the police officers have to like wear masks. They have to keep the guns under control and whatnot, and it's about her exploring like this weird conspiracy going on where Dr. Manhattan is once again involved in some sort of major conspiracy. She has to try to figure it out. There's an old man there who's involved who may be a link to her past. And it's one of those like shows where like every engaging element they manage to like give these amazing answers by the end. Like you have this old man here who you think, oh, he's kind of cool. I wonder who he's supposed to be. By the end, you know who he is, and he's like really fucking great. Well, then again, you know what happens, so I guess you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about spoilers. Yeah, and then it turns out that not only is she is his granddaughter, but he is also the original Hooded Justice, which I thought was a terrific element. In fact, that whole episode where you find out the origins of Hooded Justice, one of the best television episodes I've ever seen. Jesus Christ! If anyone listening has seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. It's fucking brilliant. I'm getting really excited to talk about it. Tim Blake Nelson. Yeah, Tim Blake Nelson. He's also in it. he plays a character called Looking Glass, and he's like this sort of conspiracy guy, but he's not like a villain or anything. He's not an antagonistic character. He's just a really innocent, kind of quiet guy, and he's really cool, and he's well written, and he's awesome, and he's well performed, and everyone else is also well performed. The guy from Aquaman who played what's his face, one of the villains.
Jason Momoa.
No, I'm trying to remember the name of the villain. It's not Ocean Master because it wasn't as dumb a fucking name as Ocean Master. It was
Nicole Kidman.
Manta Ray. So the guy who plays Red Manta or Manta Ray, whatever his fucking name is in Aquaman,
Black Manta.
he's in it. Black Manta, thank you. He's in he's in Watchmen, and he's really good. And it's oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm getting really excited about the show. Basically, I love it. It's fantastic. It's incredible. I can't wait to watch it again. And there's also some really well done elements of it where and I don't want to address the controversy is one of the reasons why I kind of brought up the show, because you may remember how people got really upset with this show because it was a little bit
upset with something, with a form of entertainment rather than just enjoyed it.
Yeah, that happened with Watchmen, and I gotta say, just on a quick side note, because I don't want to get into an hour-long tangent, because trust me, there are videos out there where people go into negative hour-long tangents, and I don't really want to watch them because I have a life,
and I don't want to edit it.
Yes. So, the move, one of the most amazing elements of the Watchmen show is opens on the Tulsa massacre, which is one of the worst ever things to happen in American history, which got covered up because, fucking America is weird.
That's what happens.
And yeah, and people, don't get me wrong, it definitely happened, but for some reason, no one really mentioned in American history, no one really brings it up. And the only two things that kind of brought it up recently are Lovecraft Country and Watchmen. Watchmen being the first media thing to sort of break it out, and people are like, "Wow, that's incredible! I never realized that happened." And you have some people who are fans of the comic book who looked at that and thought, "No, it's too political." And you're like, "Bro, the fucking comic book was political." If you do the research,
everything's apparently too political nowadays. What was it? The video game Wolfenstein that has always been about killing Hitler and Nazis. Ever since it was pixelated stuff in the 80s or the 90s, whenever it came out, was always about killing Nazis. The newest one came out 2 years ago, and it was about killing Nazis. Again, surprise, surprise. And the amount of people that went, you got to keep politics out of video games. And you're watching these people on the internet, and you're like, you just want to be upset. You just want to be sad. Should I say, before you go back on your Watchmen stuff, I have looked up the gentleman who played Black Manta, and he has the best name in the world. His name is Yahya, is his first name. Abdul Mantin II, which means that there is a fucking first one that exists. So someone went, "This is an awesome name. My son's getting this name."
And then the future generations shall get this name. It will be passed on for eons. But yeah, he was really good in Watchmen.
I also forgot that if you're not a Watchmen fan, he was also or an Aquaman fan, he was in the latest series of Black Mirror, and it was really good.
Black Mirror, yeah. Well, I'm trying
to remember what episode. Anthony Mackie episode.
Yeah, sorry, it came back to me briefly when you ask yourself a question, then your brain just sort of goes, "Here it is, fucker," and you're like, yes, thank you. Anyway, that tangent aside, it's fucking dumb. If you sat back watching the new Watchmen and you're a fan of the comic book and even saw the films, or a big fan of Watchmen, and you're upset because it mentions a very horrible period of history, and all of a sudden you're like, "Nah, mate, too political for me." Yeah, I think you may have read the book wrong, mister. Oh no, the internet connection was unstable. Did you capture that?
It's fine. Your audio was fine. If this was a video podcast, it'd be a worry. But your audio literally didn't. It hiccuped a little bit before you said that the internet had stopped, but you were fine otherwise.
Yeah, your video froze, and I thought, I don't want to stop because I don't want to miss this out because I have a really good. Anyway, so yeah. But so if you're someone who's watching the new Watchmen and complained that the Tulsa Massacre thing be in the opening and how it explores racism in America and you watch this and you think, fuck, that's too political. Sorry, you've read the book wrong. You've read Alan Moore's interpretation wrong. And I haven't even read the fucking book, and I'm telling you this. Don't get me wrong. I will start reading the book at some point because it's really good. I hear. It's just fucking dumb when like you have to sort of like, tell people that like what you've read is political and you're getting mad at something that's addressing a really serious real world issue and doing it in one of the most unique ways imaginable, and you're kind of just sort of going there, arms folded, unironically going, too political, how dare you bring up a horrible massacre that happened like so and so ago that was covered up because of really obvious horrible things, and America didn't want to look bad. It's just tiring. Having to sort of like,
the internet is tiring. I should also say, because there was a lot of swearing in that last 5 minutes, is that Nana, I'm sorry because I know you're listening. Sean does not mean to swear as much as he swears.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Martin Stana. I'm really sorry. I just got passionate, I just got really passionate.
Unfortunately, when Sean gets passionate, he swears quite a bit. We do apologize.
I'm sorry. In fact,
he'll try better next time, because the more you swear, the less likely we are to make money out of the show.
It's true. I want to apologize not only to Martin's Nana, but to anyone else's Nana who is listening. I'm very sorry to all the Nanas. We got to make that into a t-shirt at some point. I'm sorry to all the Nanas.
But yeah, anything else on it?
Well, I got one I really need to recommend to you because within the show, because I know you love your soundtracks. Watchmen, the TV show, has got one of the best scores I've ever heard on a television series. It's done by Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor. Two of them, I think, are members of the band Nine Inch Nails and have done a lot of musical collaborations with David Fincher. They did the score for a bunch of his films. They even did the score for Mank, which is really good. And they're even doing the score for Soul, the upcoming Soul. And they did the score for Watchmen, and he got an Emmy for it. And it's honestly fucking brilliant. Oh, there we go again, sorry. But yeah, it's brilliant. It's fantastic. And everything else about it is fantastic. There's a reason why it won like 9 Emmys, and there's a reason why people are like calling it one of the best things ever. And the fact that like there's no season afterward, it's just its own thing. It's basically just a 9-hour film that you can watch and don't have to worry about like any new installments. Hell, even Damien Lindelof, the creator, was like, yeah, we don't have any plans. That's it. We're done. Like, we can't really do anything else. We can't top that. We just can't top that. That's how good Watchmen is. People were planning on a second season, or some people were theorizing on a second season. Lindelof came in and was like, yeah, sorry, we have no plans. We can't top, literally, we can't top that. We literally cannot top Watchmen, that show.
Yeah. I was just letting you speak. There wasn't really anything else I could say.
Sorry.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That's I think we're coming up for an hour, because I forgot to see how much time we had left.
Yeah,
so,
we got all the good content there, though.
Yeah. Well, just watch everything we've recommended if you want to. If you don't, we won't hate you for it. We're sorry for all the quote-unquote bad takes we've had throughout this film.
Yes. I'm very sorry for the bad takes that I came out with. Although
I also came out with the bad ones, and then straight away went back on them.
I mean, when I say bad, I kind of more or less just think, oh, you mean a lukewarm take? All right, no worries. Because there are bad takes and there's lukewarm takes. And believe it or not, lukewarm takes are mostly what we get. Bad takes are mostly what people kind of react over. So,
Yeah. I've started every pause with a yeah in the last 5 minutes. But that is the end of our show for now. Mm-hmm. Sorry for all the swearing. It's fine, Sean. I'll never monetize this again. Who needs money?
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I'm sorry. No, not I've annoyed the monetization system. I can't believe it. Oh.
Other than that, though, we'll see you in 2 weeks for what is actually going to be our last one of the year.
Yeah, we kind of started in the middle of the year because we were just like, fucking
bored.
Podcast.
Yeah. But this will be the last one of the year. It'll be episode 5. next time will
Mm.
be the last one. We're on episode 4 right now.
Mm-hmm. We
I'll
could
say
do like,
goodbye.
yeah, we could do like a last episode. We could just sort of do like a best of the year kind of thing. But that's more of just an idea. But yeah, this has been Walking Skull. We hope you enjoyed this walking of the skull. That was terrible, Sean.
No,
That was
that's a good
just
one.
terrible.
That's a good idea, actually. That's this. We hope you've enjoyed walking around our skulls. Hey,
There we go. That's better. That's a better one. Better than what I came up with. But yeah,
we'll be working on it.
we appreciate the listeners walking around our skulls. Thank you so much. We hope you're staying safe. And yeah, thank you everyone. Have a good evening, day, afternoon, whatever you want to call it. Just have a good day.